Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Edna Tse.
And I'm Carain Yeung. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. Chinese aviation regulator grounds Boeing jets after Ethiopian Airlines crash.
Government to set cap on optometry service reimbursements for elderly.
And lack of mutual understanding led to criticism on CY line case, top ICAC investigator said.
China's aviation regulator has grounded 96 Boeing jets, which are of the same model, used in the fateful Ethiopian Airlines flight which crashed yesterday, taking the lives of 157 people.
This comes as investigators will now try to recover flight data from the black box, which has just been recovered, and find out what exactly happened. Sarah Wong reports.
One day after an Ethiopian Airlines jet crashed shortly after takeoff, taking the lives of 157 people, investigators have now retrieved the fateful jet's black box. This could offer authorities a glimpse of what exactly led to the tragedy. Meanwhile, wreckage of the crashed plane, clothes, and pieces of charged documents littered the crash site near Bushaftu, a town 60 kilometers southeast of the Ethiopian capital. Rescuers said the force of the crash was so strong, debris from the aircraft scattered an area as large as 10,000 square meters. Condolences continue to flood in from across the world, with 35 nationalities tallied from the passenger list. A total of 8 Chinese nationals, including one Hong Konger, were among the victims. The deceased Hong Konger was Victor Zhang, a program officer at the United Nations Environment Program. He was believed to be on his way to Nairobi for the 5-day UN Environment Assembly. Meanwhile, families and friends of the victims gathered at a Canyon hotel, hoping to receive more information.
Today is a very sad and tragic day for all of us at Ethiopian Airlines and for our passengers who were on board Ethiopian Airlines flight ET302. At this stage, we cannot rule out anything. We cannot also attribute the cause to anything because we will have to comply with the international regulation to wait for the investigation to reveal the cause of the accident.
The airlines confirmed that the pilot manning the doomed jet was a veteran who had logged over 8,000 flight hours. He had reported difficulties and had been given the clearance to return to Addis Ababa shortly after departure, but never made it. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed vowed to reveal the cause of the crash as soon as the investigation completes. The months-old Boeing 737 MAX 8 jet was the same model as the Lion Air plane that plunged into the West Java Sea 5 months ago. All 189 people perished. Boeing said the company was deeply saddened by the catastrophe and has sent experts to the crash site to provide technical assistance. Analysts pointed out the similarities between the two deadly accidents.
Both aircraft were very new. I mean, this one was only brought to the airline the middle of November. It was in the air for 6 minutes. The pilot did have enough time to make an emergency distress call. So that somewhat leaves out the possibility of some type of catastrophic explosion on board the aircraft that would have brought it down immediately. Fluctuations on the vertical speed on that aircraft, very similar to what we believe happened with the Lion Air crash.
Amid increasing concerns over the jet's safety, the Chinese Civil Aviation Administration has temporarily grounded all 96 Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft operated by Chinese airlines. The regulator would consult with the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration and Boeing to make sure the jets are airworthy first before lifting the blockade. Sarah Wong, HKIBC.
Back in Hong Kong, the government has proposed setting a $2,000 biennial ceiling for the elderly to reimburse optometry service expenses using healthcare vouchers.
This came as a review into the decade-old scheme found a disproportionate number of claims with exceptionally high amounts made by optometrists. Launched 10 years ago, the Elderly Healthcare Voucher Scheme is aimed at encouraging senior citizens to utilize private healthcare services. Vouchers of $2,000 will be given each year to those aged 65 or above, and any unused credit can be accumulated up to $5,000. But a growing number of complaints regarding inflated bills from optometrists prompted authorities to impose restrictions. Following a review, the Department of Health suggested capping the amount of claims on optometry services at $2,000 every 2 years.
We are not stigmatizing any profession. The reason for capping is because that we observe and notice in our review that there are irregular use and over-concentrating on one of the services.
According to Legislative Council documents, the amount of voucher claims from the optometry sector reached $760 million last year, 27% of all reimbursements under the scheme. With 697 licensed optometrists in the city, that means each of them were reimbursed more than $1 million on average. Among the some 35,000 claims of $4,000 or more in the second half of last year, 76% were from optometrists. Health authorities originally proposed an even more stringent $1,000 biannual limit before optometrists and patient groups pushed back. But Society of Professional Optometrists President Vincent Ng said the elderly often required multiple checkups to treat complex eye problems. Others also questioned why such a restriction did not extend to the Chinese medicine sector, following reports that some shops persuaded the elderly to buy expensive